Welcome to episode 79 everyone. In this video I'll be detailing the engines on the 35 scale longbow Apache from Takom. Guys, this video is all about engines, and in this one I'll be detailing this T700 engine in the Takom kit. Now this is one I built earlier just to get my head around doing this. This will be behind a closed engine bay, and I'll be seeing if I can improve on this. Now, if you go on the Wikipedia page, you'll see that this turboshaft engine powers quite a few different military helicopters. Among them the Apache, of course, also the Army's Black Hawk, the Navy's Sea Hawk, and then the Marines' Venoms, Vipers, and Super Cobras. So quite a few different machines that is powered by this power plant. Guys, as you know, this is also a sponsored build, so let's hear from the sponsor. This build is generously sponsored by Supernova Studio here in South Africa, and at the end of this video I'll be supplying you with a promo code that you can use to get a substantial discount on the standard price. This is of course also the month of love. That's probably the worst Barry White impression ever. I'll stop immediately. If you spend more than 1,500 rands, and that's before the courier cost, at Supernova Studio this month, you stand the chance of winning one of two different lucky draw hampers. The first is a crafter's hamper containing all sorts of great stuff that you can use if you're into crafting. And then the important one, the modeler's hamper. Now guys, this is great. Now this hamper includes a Evolution Silverline airbrush, different guidebooks, and then also a very nice 35 scale kit from Das Werk. Now guys, get your orders in, because the winner will be announced by Supernova Studio on the 4th of March. So make use of this opportunity. In the Takom instructions, we're at step 15 and 16, and we'll be making two of these T700 engines. They're all on the L sprue. You get two of these because there are two engines. And let's start assembling this. In order to do the scratch building, adding the wiring, you'll need a set of micro drills, different sizes. Of course, drills that is the same as your lead wire. Speaking of lead wire, this is what I'll be using. This is a 0.4mm lead wire, and guys, you can basically use any wire that's the same diameter. I found this works very well, and it's also very pliable. Now, if scratch building is not really your cup of tea, fear not. You can still super detail your Takom Apache. ResKit makes a very nice set of T700 engines, and they will of course fit all the different airframes that I mentioned earlier. However, I'll be working with the kit parts, and these are really nicely detailed, guys. Very little flash on these, exceptional fit. I really can't complain about this Takom kit so far. The fit has been fantastic, and really the detail on these kit parts are very good for styrene. You can see there, very nice fit there indeed. Very little cleanup to do, very little gap filling required. Now in this build I used this reference picture, and you can see there's all sorts of different components. For instance, this little box with a wiring in there. Now these little stubs need to get wires in them, and to do that I cut these stubs away, and then I started drilling anchoring holes for the wiring that I will add later. And guys, this is something I really want to encourage you to do. If you are going to fit wiring, always drill guide holes. It just makes it so much easier to fit the wires later on. For some minor gap filling, I used this product from Vallejo, plastic putty, and really this has become my go-to putty. It's of course water soluble, and it does a great job of just filling in those gaps on the seam of that part. Now onto the wiring. You can see there is a mass of wiring on this engine, and I'll try and at least get the most important ones into my model. So to do that, I cut my lead wire. Of course, this is very pliable and excellent for this application. And the guide holes that I drilled earlier makes this very easy to now just fit these in there and glue them in place. The glue I'm using is Green Stuff World Gel Type Super Glue. Guys, this is available from Supernova Studio, and it's really my go-to adhesive for most of my modeling work. I love the fine-tipped applicator. You can see it there. I'm using that. It allows you to lay down a very small bead of super glue and doesn't make a mess of your model. So there we go, starting the slow process of adding the different wires. Also added a few brass parts, just add some visual interest, and also try and stick to what I'm seeing in my reference pictures. Reference pictures are very important for something like this, especially if, like me, you've never seen a T700 engine up close. A picture speaks 1,000 words. So there we go, just adding some more wiring. Drilling all those guide holes, carefully fitting them, and then gluing them in place. Just a little bit of wiring makes a huge difference on these engine parts. So there we go. The wiring has been added, and I can now move on to primer and paint. And that's the next step. You recall in my last video, Supernova Studio kindly supplied me with a rattle can primer, this being from Mr. Hobby. Now guys, this is the same stuff that you get in the jars, only it's in a spray can form. I have to admit, I was always a bit apprehensive of these spray can primers, thinking that it will be difficult to lay down the correct amount of paint. But really my fears were unfounded, and this works excellently to quickly and effortlessly put some primer on your model on the different parts. And as you can see, there, it goes on very smoothly, and that is the result. This is perfectly primed, and we're now well set up for all the additional painting that we'll have to do on this engine. Now let's talk about the different paints. You'll see there are basically 3 different metallic colors that I see in my reference picture. The base color I'll be using is Alclad Steel. I'll also be using Alclad Pale Burnt Metal. That's for the turbine section of the T700 engine. That's the front section that you see right there. Now there's a hot section towards the center of the engine, and that I'll be using exhaust manifold and jet exhaust from Alclad as well. Don't worry about the names, we're only concerned about the colors right now. Now to do those blue and purple burn marks on the metal, I'll be using transparent blue and violet red from Vallejo. You'll see that's a section right there, some purple and blue tones typical to burnt metal. I'll also be using Vallejo Smoke, more on this later, as well as Vallejo Black, just to add a few color accents. That will be coming later in the video. And then finally we'll be doing some dry brushing, and for this I'll be using Natural Steel and Silver from Vallejo. So first the base color, I'm using Alclad Steel in this case, and I now carefully spray this onto the primed engine. So there you can see, that's the basic steel color that I use for the base color on this engine. Next I'm going to use Pale Burnt Metal. Now this is only for the turbine section on the front of that T700 engine. So this is carefully applied over the steel color, blending it with the steel color basically. So that's the basic colors. Now in this engine, the turbine is at the front, and then this center section is the hot section. Now we've already applied the pale burnt metal to the turbine section, and next we'll have to paint the rear and the middle being the hot section of the engine. Now I'll be using exhaust manifold first, and then some jet exhaust later. And this is poured straight into the airbrush, and this is now very carefully applied to the center section of that T700 engine. The center section becomes very hot, and we'll have to do the color accordingly. So you can see the exhaust manifold has been applied. Next up is jet exhaust, a different color. So that is also applied, blended with the exhaust manifold color. Now if you look up close, you'll see there's some purplish bluish color to this metal. and that's something I'll want to do next. I'll be using transparent blue from Vallejo as well as violet red, doing a bit of a blend there. Now, of course, these being model color paints, they need to be thinned first with Vallejo airbrush thinner. Once that is done, it's very easy to just carefully apply that towards the center section of that engine, getting those blue and purple tones in there, violet tones in there. Now guys, in scale modeling, things seldomly go according to plan, and when I started applying the transparent blue color, you'll see I had a little bit of an oopsie there, a bit off target, right about there. That was way off target, and fortunately that's easy to fix. I use some exhaust manifold again, color from Alclad, and just carefully fix that. So there we go, fixed up. Now guys, this is Vallejo smoke. This must be the most underrated color in the Vallejo range, and this I'm going to apply at a few spots on the engine. It gives it that nice smoky sort of a rich color, and I find that this works really well for engine builds. So get yourself some Vallejo smoke. I highly recommend it for all sorts of engines and mechanical parts of models. Next up, some Vallejo black, just to add some further visual interest towards the front of the turbine. And really the black just helps with some contrast, bringing up those veins on this exhaust section. So there we are. This is the current state of progress. Certainly loving that, and the color is really coming along nicely. There's the exhaust. Loving that color contrast there on those veins. Now you'll see the wire is also colored the same as the center section of the engine, and that needs to be rectified. The wire needs to be a different color. Now for this, I'll be doing dry brushing. I'll be using my medium-sized dry brush from Vallejo. I'll also be using some silver and natural steel colors from the Vallejo model color range. This is something you've seen me done before. I use some cash register paper, and of course also my dry brush from Vallejo, from the new range of brushes. Dry brushing is very simple to do. Just remove as much paint from those soft bristles as you can. I use the cash register paper for this, and then carefully start laying down the color on those raised wires. You can see this is really an effective technique to color those wires to a silver color with the contrasting burnt metal colors that we have on the center section of the engine. So guys, there we go, loving this effect. However, there's some small spots right there in the middle where the medium-sized dry brush did not reach. So I'll be switching to my small dry brush, also from Vallejo. I now repeat the same procedure, just getting that smaller brush in there and dry brushing the raised detail on the center section of that engine. Now finally some detail painting. For this I'll be using my Tenno brush, a detail brush, also from Vallejo. This is a very fine tip brush, and I now use silver and carefully start just laying down some color on that wiring that I added earlier. This requires a steady hand, certainly not something that you rush. So guys, this is where we are currently. All the wires have been painted, all the basic paint shades are down, and we can move on to some further detailing. Now at this point I just want to protect the paint, so I lay down a coat of satin varnish, this being from Microscale. Now guys, in reference pictures I can see there's some colored wires as well, green, blue and yellow, and for this I'll be using some 0.3mm brass wire, as well as this little painting jig that I made myself from stirrers. Again, I'm going to use some rattle can primer on this. Quick and easy way of priming those wires for paint. Guys, if you are going to paint a metal wire, do prime it first. The acrylic paint does not stick to metal surfaces. Believe me, I've tried, and I find that with primer this goes a lot easier. So there's the painted wire, And once this is dry, it's very easy to just cut this from this homemade little jig that I have. And I've got 3 different colors of colored wire to also add to my model. Again, follow the same procedure I followed earlier to add the other wire, just getting those little guide holes in there, doing a measurement, and then carefully gluing them in place with gel type super glue. It's inevitable that at some point you might scratch up the colored paint on there, and it's very easy then to just go back and with a fine detailing brush just to fix that paint. There's the green wire, and then finally also we added some blue wire. So guys, there we go. That is the colored wire that's been added. This makes a world of difference, and I'm certainly loving the progress on this D700 engine from the Takom kit. One last thing to do is just to add a wash, a color wash, this one being from MIG Productions. And what I do, I really thin down these wash colors, and then just apply them to all the recessed detail on that engine. And gosh, really, this makes a world of difference. I'm a big fan of pin washes and color washes, and this really enhances any model. So there we go. This is the completed engine. I must admit, I'm over the moon with this, loving all the additional detail that we added to the standard kit part from Takom. And guys, I hope you will be able to do the same with your kits. Now we're not done yet. In my next video I'll be fitting this to an engine bay, doing some further detailing, and that will then be fitted to the Apache. Guys, as I mentioned earlier, this kit can be purchased at a discount if you use the promo code Longbow2601. Now guys, make sure to get your orders in as quick as possible, because Lindy, the owner of Supernova Studio, just informed me that there are only 3 kits left. So if you're still planning to add this to your stash, make sure to use this promo code and order your kit as soon as possible. Guys, that's it then for video 79. Thank you for joining me. As always, follow me on Instagram. I post regular updates on all my builds there. Thank you for following along, and see everyone in the next video.